Let's go back to Canberra now. Joining us is our political editor, Andrew Clennell. So it is budget wash-up. How do you think things have washed up today, Andrew?
Well, I just think it looks increasingly more likely there'll be an early election. I just don't see... I don't think they're absolutely wedded to that at the moment, but I just look at the situation, the political situation, the situation of this budget, and it's hard to escape that conclusion, Pete. And the PM's changed his language, it seems to me. He's a lot more evasive in that interview with you on this. And it's certainly the expectation across the opposition that that's the case. Let's have a look at this, right? We've got a surplus. We've got an energy bill bribe. We've got tax cuts. We've got a prediction that inflation will come down by the end of the year, which I severely doubt, which points towards a rate cut. So it doesn't get any better than this. If you go with what the Prime Minister's spoken about before, which is a May election next year, which would be that late because WA is going in March, he said that would mean a March budget. What would Jim Chalmers be delivering then, Pete? He'd be delivering a $20-odd billion surplus. At the moment, it's set to be $28 billion. He'd probably not have a rate cut yet. According to a line hidden in the budget papers, the Treasury think it'll be the middle of next year before we see a rate cut. So he'd look like a bit of a goose in terms of his inflation prediction. And, you know, there'd be pressure to extend that energy rebate. So if you look at the alternative, I guess, to going early, it's not a good alternative. Whereas right now, they're in a good position. You know, they could be in a better position. There's no doubt about that. And they've had a sticky few months. You know, they've had issue after issue, but they seem to have weathered the storm. Labor's strategy for the election is to make it a choice between Albanese and Dutton, not to make it a referendum on the Albanese government. And they believe they can do that, and they believe that they can be re-elected in majority if they have a good campaign at the moment. I'm not sure that would be the case in a year's time. The old story is you go when you think you can win, and I think this budget reflects that right now the government thinks they can win.
Okay, so now that they've put the timestamp right on inflation being tackled by Christmas, if it's looking likely that it's not going to be tackled by Christmas, wouldn't that bring into question economic credibility? So even if there is an early election by, let's say, November or December, wouldn't people be able to figure, well, they're trying to jump in ahead of this, the economy's not looking good?
Well, that's absolutely right. But what if there's no rate cut by May and they go then? I mean, people will have well and truly had a gutful by then. So, look, there's risk to every scenario. There's risk if you went in, say, September. Let's talk about that scenario. That people are going, this is so cynical. What about you guys? And they'll give you a whack over that. There's a risk if you go in November and December, the scenario you just spoke about. Well, you haven't cut inflation like you said you would. You're full of it. But the bigger risk I put to you, Pete, is to wait until May, no rate cut, the energy bill relief, the glow of that's gone, the glow of the stage 3 tax cuts has dissipated as well. You've got other issues on the migration detainees front, or God knows what. The Prime Minister's been for a few more overseas trips. You go when you can win, as long as it's close enough to an election. And November 30, December 7, that's close enough to May.
Okay.
He would have served for 2.5 years then. So, look, I'm not saying this is going to happen. I'm saying as a political analyst, I'm looking at the choices as if I was them, and I'm seeing particularly the way that budget was framed, it is very much a pre-election budget, Pete. If they were determined to go again with the budget in March, this would have more restraint, this budget. That's what I'm saying.
So, yeah, no, they're all really good points.